Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to welcome a special guest to the podcast. He is an Ottawa Marquette and St. Ambrose alumni. He's currently halfway across the world doing the Lord's work teaching. You can follow him on Twitter at KJS_22. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, KJ Schultz. KJ, my man, how are things in South Korea today?
Hello, gentlemen. Thank you. On this fine, what's today? Friday morning for me. A little overcast, but the coronavirus has calmed down and all is well. Thank you for having me.
Of course, man. Good to have you.
Let's get right into it. How did you end up in South Korea from St. Ambrose?
So after Ambrose, moved to Chicago and did the whole find myself a job and live there and try to figure out what I was going to do with life. I was there for about 8 years, and then I went to Japan in 2014 to visit my aunt. She was working there with Accenture, and she was there on business. So I went over to Japan and stayed with her for 11 days. And after I left Japan, I came back and I was like, oh man, I gotta live overseas. Like this is something I want to do. Like completely different culture, completely different everything. And like, I was just like stuck in the mud at my job. I was like, I got to make a change. So I got my TEFL certificate in 2017, which is like, it's an online course or it's a course you can take in person. It just gets you a teaching certificate to teach, English as a foreign language. So did that and then just shipped over to South Korea in 2017.
That's awesome. Where in South Korea are you at?
So I'm in Seoul, so I'm in the city. And then like I live close. I mean, most people are like, where do you live? And it's like, I live in Apgujeong, which means nothing to most people, but it's probably like a 15-20 minute cab ride or bus ride to Gangnam. So I'm sure most people know, Gangnam Style, and it's like the big main hub of Seoul that most, people outside of the city know.
We were talking
to dance to at the bar too, so it's perfect.
Yeah,
fitting.
It's just still a banger, man. Still an absolute banger.
We were kind of talking before the show. We were doing this the night before. We're supposed to be getting a big snowstorm here in Illinois. There's not much snow that happens in like a South Korea area, like Seoul, South Korea, and stuff like that.
No, not really. So we do have like all 4 seasons. It's basically like people are like, "Oh, you're moving to Korea. It's gonna be gorgeous and hot all the time." It's like, nah. Like we still have all 4 seasons, just like if you were living in the city in Chicago. Really, the only difference is like when winter comes, it is really, really cold and it's windy, but like we don't get snow that sticks. Like we may get like a half an inch or an inch in the city, but it's going to be gone within a few hours kind of thing.
The only reason we actually knew that was because Boomy actually looked it up because we actually asked each other. We were like, I was like, I know this may sound stupid, but like, I don't actually know if it snows in South Korea, like at all. I don't know. And Boomy looked it up and he said, yeah, minimal snow at most.
Yeah. If you go like outside of the city, the more rural areas or like by some of the mountains, like you can have some legit snow, but, and like I've skied here, like you can go skiing here, but, as far as like, what we're used to, like, hey, walked outside my house and there's a fresh 3 inches, like that just doesn't happen.
Huh, that's wild.
But didn't South Korea just host like the Winter Olympics or something?
Yeah, they did. I went to it 2 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah,
how was that?
Awesome.
Yeah, it was legit. It was when the men's curling team was like a hot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
Eddie Hamilton.
Yeah. So we got to go. We saw them, and we saw like 2 different hockey games, and then we're there the entire day. So it was pretty neat.
That's incredible.
Awesome. Yeah, it was a big like bucket list thing, and like me and a couple buddies went. It was like when I first got to Korea, I didn't even know that they were happening in Seoul or like in Korea. So we got here, people are like, "Yo, are you going to the Olympics this year?" And I was like, "Oh shit, the Olympics are in Korea! Like, yeah,
awesome.
Let's buy tickets."
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
The Olympics this year have been canceled, right?
Yeah, they've been postponed. Which we were gonna try to go to that too, because like Japan's only a 2-hour flight, and you can hop over there pretty easily.
That's cool.
So like we were hoping like, oh, let's see some like, NBA basketball or just see any Summer Olympic stuff, because like, the Summer Olympics is where it's at. But yeah, it's postponed, so I don't know if that's gonna be happening.
But like speaking of the coronavirus, we were in your blog, you were saying that you were home for a wedding and you flew back on March 20th. You flew back from Chicago. Would you went to Chicago to California?
Yeah, so it was kind of weird how I've been like lucky. I've been just like dodging the worst parts of the virus. So the last week of my contract is like the last week in February, and I had to be home for my cousin's wedding on Saturday, the 29th of February. And so like leading up to that week, like school got canceled like the last 4 days because a huge outbreak happened in like a southern part of Korea in Daegu. And like huge outbreak. It was like, 400 people. And it was like the first, like, it was like, oh, it's only China and it's only Korea that kind of have this like big thing happening. And I was just worried that like, oh man, my flights are going to get canceled or I'm not going to be able to leave the US. So I left, and right when I left, they were like starting to like classify travel as like, it's a level 4, it's like critical, you shouldn't be traveling kind of thing. So I got out, I was good, made it to Chicago, stayed in Chicago, and I was supposed to be back on like March 8th and start my new contract. But that's when things kept getting worse over here. So they kept pushing the start dates of school back. And I eventually just stayed. I stayed in Chicago for like 2.5 weeks and then went and saw my girlfriend in California. And so when I flew back from California, it was like the last 4 days I was there was when Illinois and New Jersey and California has like shut down all bars and restaurants. So like me and her were basically just like chilling at her house like for 4 days. And we were like, man, you're not going to be able to fly back to Korea. And I flew back on the 20th, like no problem. And then, by the time I got back here, it was like Korea has flattened the curve and, it's terrible in America now. So it's like I've been luckily dodging it.
You seem like the good luck charm in all this.
That's
like, wherever you go, like, it clears up.
Everyone, like, when I got back here, they're like, damn, dude, you need to fly like to Europe next or like go to Alaska or just like pick wherever you want.
For sure.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So are you guys back to daily life? Are you in a shelter in place kind of like we have here, or are you pretty much back to full swing?
So when I got back, I was like, you're supposed to do 14 days self-quarantine at your house. Mm-hmm. And the cool thing like about like it, the best part about Seoul is like they have everything under control. Like they're testing, like I can get testing, no problem. It's cheap. It's all over the place. Like there's masks, there's, just everything like is sent to your phone, updates. So when I got back on the 20th, like in the airport, like you're thinking like, oh shit, this is going to be a nightmare. But before you go through customs, there's just like, there's a COVID-19 station where you go through, you got your temperature taken, and they make you download an app. And you have to open this app every day and fill out if you have any symptoms. And within the app, there's like hotlines to call and doctors you can call and like all sorts of things if you need assistance. So I would, each day open my app and click, I don't feel any symptoms. And then if you don't like do it by a certain time, you get text message notifications and then someone will call you. So they're up on it. So like there was one day I was like,
that's crazy.
8 or 9 days into it, I was kind of like, like, oh shit, I forgot to press this. And like, I got a message and it's like, hey, we will be calling you by this hour if you don't like complete the thing. And I was like, oh snap, someone's coming after me.
I wonder what, like, if you don't even pick up the phone, I wonder if they like do.
I don't know. It was like
break your door down.
Someone knocking on my door. Like, hey,
how are you feeling in there? How are you feeling?
Mr. Schultz. But after that, like, after the 14 days, like, they were like, okay, you can delete the app, like, you're cleared. And like, even in those 14 days, like, I'm not sitting in my house, like, going stir crazy. Like, I still went to the store, still, like, ran around the park to, like, get a good sweat in, like, things like that. Like, it wasn't total, like, man, he's in a lockdown government facility or anything like that. Yeah. When I got back, I was pretty surprised. So, like, I live in one of the major parts of the city, and it's like I would go outside and like there are still a lot of people just sitting at Korean barbecue or out to eat, or like the 6-foot social distancing thing, like why it's encouraged still by our government here. I was surprised at like how comfortable everyone got once our numbers like progressively got lower. So it's just still kind of like that, like, damn, is there going to be a second wave? Like, is everyone this comfortable? But yeah, as far as like going back to work and things like that, like we've gone to online teaching, but I know some other schools have gone back to face-to-face. It's just kind of been like one of those things, like they're pushing, I think, for most things to be back to normal like mid-May. But it just takes, like we've been saying, like, man, it's one kid comes into school and has it, it's like then we're shut down for God knows how long.
You're back to square one. Kind of like with my next question was, you've been in this you've been in the United States, and you've been in now South Korea. The fear, it seems like, is a lot more intense here in the States than it is in South Korea. Like you were trying to say, people are kind of going back. I feel like it's going to take a lot longer for us to, for some reason, get back into the normalcy of like going out and doing stuff. And even like you said in your blog, you feel like Korea, they handled it almost so much better.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I think everyone knows like USA jumped on it way too late, and they thought it's not going to get us, we're fine, this and that.
We waited until we were like, oh, we'll just let everyone go out for St. Patrick's Day, no one will do anything, they won't go out to the bars or anything, we'll just like, and then we waited to shut them down. Like that's when it was like, come on.
Yeah, Korea's also has a leg up on most countries for this. I mean, they went through SARS and MERS like a few years ago, so like they've had protocol for a pandemic of some sort of foreign disease, like getting people sick and things like that. So they've had steps to take on certain things, and like also like our phones over here, like everything is like we get updates from the government like through it's just like an emergency. So like when it first started happening, like we would get emergency updates, and it would be like 2 new cases in Shinsa, or 2 new cases in Hongdae, and you kind of knew like, oh man, there's 4 cases over in this area, so like I'm not going over there. Whereas in America, like you don't know where it's at. Like if you go in Chicago, man, is there going to be 30 cases in the West Loop? Like, is there cases in my building? You just don't know.
Well, because like you were saying with the testing is so accessible there, like I don't even know anywhere how close it would be for us. And I'm in Paw Paw, and Boomy's in Mendota, like where we would even go to get tested. Like we would have no idea.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. That's the thing too. Like,
for the whole
you have to like call a hotline number.
Yeah, I think that's the scariest thing. And it's like, man, if you get it and you're going south and you don't really know like what's happening, it's like, it could get a hold of you, and you could be really bad in 3 days, and you could be on this hotline number for God knows long. Like, where are you going to go to get a test, kind of thing? And that's been, I think, the freakiest thing in the States.
How are they doing it? Is it they go by like the whole country does one thing, or is it like, because we're doing like state by state, like we still like Wisconsin added like to like May 20th or something, and we're still on May 1st is when the Illinois is supposedly going to go off. It like every state's different. Like, is there one set time over there?
Yeah, it's like one set time. So like we're
I like that.
Yeah, we don't have. There's no like West Coast time, East Coast time, nothing like that. It's just we're on one clock. We don't have like we don't fall. Yeah, that
would help me a lot because I get very confused.
Yeah, our clocks don't fall back and spring forward and any of that shit either. So that's nice.
That's awesome.
I hate daylight savings and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you were to like blow up the city of Chicago like to a country size, like we have like neighborhoods in different areas and they're called goos. So like Gangnam-gu, and it's like it'd be like if you're going to the West Loop, or you're going to Lincoln Park, except just on a countrywide scale.
Gotcha. Are you guys back to like pro sports and stuff? Is that happening in South Korea right now?
I think basketball has been back, but as far as like the baseball season, I don't think that has like
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I
I'm not
did
sure
see
when that's
Korean
going to be.
basketball is it Korean baseball or
Taiwan.
Korean basketball?
I know like I think Taiwan baseball I saw was coming back, and
Yeah,
then
because they put
I
the cardboard fans in the crowd. I saw.
yeah.
Yeah.
But as far as Korean basketball, I saw that like maybe even like a few weeks ago when I was in California that they were like scheduled to go back in normal time. So um, sports are somewhat back here, but like that's not really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like we
Well,
need the
like they were saying,
NFL
like
and the
a lot of
NBA.
well, and like they were saying, a lot of the teams, like if they did have players from like the United States, like they were making them stay there, and like they were just like, no, we're going home. So like a lot of the players have kind of come back, and they're probably not going to go back for a while. So,
Yeah.
what like being in how long have you been in South Korea?
So this is going on my 4th year.
What's your favorite thing about it? And what's your least favorite thing about it?
Favorite thing about it is probably the ability to travel. Like I've been to Thailand twice. I've been to Bali twice. I've been to Japan. I've been to Taiwan.
Wow.
Just within those like few years, and like yeah, you only have a few weeks here or there, like during summer or Christmas break or whatnot. But it's like everything's so close in Southeast Asia. That and probably just the people you meet. Like I mean, yeah, you have your buddies from college or your buddies from high school back home or the people you work with, but like yeah, when you get over here, you don't know anybody. So it's like you're on the ground just not knowing anybody and just the people you meet through different organizations or randomly at the bars or, coworkers. There's just a dope little like community of expats that, stick together and make friends with friends and things like that. So that's probably the best. And the food. The food's good too.
Yeah.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
the worst is the distance. Like 14 hours time difference sucks. Like no matter what. Like yeah, it's what Thursday night for you guys, Friday morning for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah,
Like it just makes like it's annoying. It makes watching sports a bitch. It makes talking to your friends and family back home a bitch. It's just that kind of stuff's probably the most annoying.
Oh yeah, because usually like when like NBA and stuff's going on, it's gotta be like in the middle of the night.
Yeah. So like when the Bears play on Sunday, like it's for me at Monday morning at like sometimes at like 5 a.m. or at like
Huh.
so like during the NFL season, we'll watch NFL games like during our lunch break, or if you're off early enough, like after the day's over. But yeah, same with the NBA. We'd watch NBA during our lunch hour, and that's what you really get. Maybe sometimes Sunday morning if they have a Saturday game, but yeah, it's my sports intake has increasingly decreased big
Yeah.
time.
Now, I don't mean this to sound like an ignorant question, but do a lot of people in South Korea speak English? Has there been a hard transition for you in that aspect?
No, that's a fantastic question. That's probably like the most sought out question, or like people are so puzzled by. Yeah, like if you go outside of Seoul, like some English people
Right.
won't get it, but like I have never legitimately once been like in a situation where like, oh my gosh, I don't know their language, like
Yeah.
I'm stuck here and I don't know how to get out of the situation, or I can't tell this person what I want. I mean, once you live here, even within like the first 6 months, the way they use it, and like most people know like simple things, and like you just get kind of good at like using your certain dialects with them, or certain tones, or like talking with your hands and things like that. But like I've never been like yeah in a situation where like man this is crap, I don't know anything.
Right. No, for sure. And so getting into a little bit of the sports talk, like have you been to a lot of like Korean professional sports like basketball? I know Korea is famous for their baseball league. Have you been able to, take in any of that while you've been over there?
Yeah, I've been to numerous baseball games. I've never
That's
been to a
cool.
basketball game, but the baseball games are a riot, man. Like the stadiums are obviously like it's more feel like a minor league feel, like
Yeah.
probably like a bigger minor league stadium, but like
Do they
they
play on the
pack.
dirt infields?
The only stadium I've been to is a normal infield. There's no dirt, but I have
Okay.
seen some of the
Yeah.
other teams in Korea have the dirt infield.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but it's it's great. Like you buy your ticket for $10. It doesn't matter where you sit, kind of thing, and like they cheer the entire time. So like
That's awesome.
they're up on their feet like cheering and screaming, and they have different cheers for each player. And yeah, instead of like buying a glass of beer at Wrigley for $9.50 or like $12 if you want a 3-1-2, like you just go inside the stadium. There's just like 7-Elevens or convenience stores, and you just buy tall boys for like $2.
That's awesome.
That's incredible.
So I mean, you can go to a game for $10 with all your friends, sit in the outfield. Like this is what we'll do. It's like, ah man, this is great. Like, hey, let's grab the subway. There's a game at 4:00, and we're sitting at the bar at like 3. Like, it doesn't have to be a thing where you have to plan. It's just like, hey, I want to go to the game for 5 innings today, and you just grab a ticket, and then yeah, you can literally get drunk off of. I mean, depending on your alcohol intake, you can just do anything. It's like it's wild.
That's incredible. I'm very jealous of that.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things. Like,
awesome.
Yeah, if someone visits from over in the States, like it's one of those things. Like, oh man, this is like something you need to experience.
Is baseball a popular sport there?
It is like on a certain level. I mean, soccer is still like probably the most popular sport, like Asia-wise, I would say. But like, for Korea, like people are diehard baseball fans here.
Yeah, I know Korea and Japan are like two of the biggest baseball playing countries outside of the United States.
Yeah, so
and I know Korea is probably in the top 3 major leagues in all of the world.
Yeah, I had initially in 2014 when I went to Japan and visited my aunt, we had gone to a game in Tokyo, and it was like once we went there, it was like, dude, this is absolute madness. Like, got to make sure we go to Korea.
That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, and it's great. Yeah, like I said, you just get some friends, get a good group of friends, and go for the thing. You get smashed, and then it's like, all right, yo, let's take the subway and go get barbecue after this. And it's just like you make a little day out of it, and it's like, it's cheap, it's legit.
That sounds
right.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We were kind of talking about like Chicago sports and your teams in Chicago. The Bulls. We were talking about on your Twitter account. I had seen that it said Fire Guard Packs. That finally has come true. We have moved on with who I'll call AK because I don't know how to say his name.
Yeah, I was like, but I looked up his name again last night, and I was like, I know the boys are gonna want to talk about this. It's like I'm not gonna pronounce his name. It's be like call him AK. Like
Karnasovas.
Yeah, there you go.
Practicing. I've had a lot of time.
There you go. You probably like had it on like YouTube how to tell you to say it. But I mean, you don't even really have to ask people like what their thoughts on it because they could have really hired anybody other than Gar and Pax, and they would have made everyone happy. But I think this guy is a really good fit.
Yeah, I agree. Like, you saw how Denver's completely like turned their team around since like 2014, 2013, and like they were what number 2 or 3 in the West before all this virus stuff happened.
3 seed, yeah.
Yeah, and like they're one of those teams like them in Utah this past like few years. You're like, let me look at the West standings today. I need to see who's up there, and you're like, shit, Denver and Utah are so good, but like you never know like who's in the 3 and the 4 in the West, and you're like, probably Houston or probably the Clippers, and it's like, nope, Utah, like or nope, Denver. It's just, and like let's hope in a few years' time the Bulls will be the same in the East.
Absolutely.
He's drafted Jokic.
Yes, exactly. The development side, Jokic, Murray, Porter Jr.
Jokic, all better than Michael Porter. You really don't know yet how he's going to be, but better than all the players that he's drafted with the Bulls, other than Derrick Rose, which kind of fell in their lap, and Jimmy Butler, and Joakim.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they just, last few years, they've just drafted poorly.
Yeah, I mean,
developed 22 years to do it. So, you throw it, you fling enough crap at the wall, you're going to hit on a couple in 22 years.
It's going to stick eventually. But even with Lowry, like his rookie year was great. And look at this past season. He looked like he was like playing 8th grade girls basketball half the time. It's like, dude, some of this is just, he had the worst, like, is his sophomore year or 3rd year? Like one of the biggest slumps for that kind of season is like, he was kind of supposed to be the unicorn this past season. It's like total dump, man.
And it's one of those things. Is it on him or is it on like having Jim Boylan as his head coach in the front? Like you just don't know because it like this whole thing is so messed up. Like it may take Laurie going somewhere else to figure out what his real talent is.
Yeah, and that seems to like
sucks.
Be the thing for some of our players. Like obviously Jimmy was elite with us, but it's like he found his footing in Miami, and like they were sitting middle of the pack in the East before this all went down too. It's like seems like it's either been coaching or front office, and like we all know, like with Garpax in the front office, it's been like no superstars want to come. They know, they talk to players and they know how shit goes down in the locker room and behind the scenes, and it's like no one wanted to play for those clowns.
Yeah, I'm so tired of hearing that bullshit of like, oh, Chris Paul was maybe, Chris Paul. Dwayne Wade was thinking about coming here. Oh, LeBron James was thinking about coming here. Oh, Carmelo was thinking about coming to the Bulls. They all thought about it, but no one actually made the move.
And then they always pop with they didn't want to live in Michael's shadow. It's like that's not the reason, guys. No one cares about that. They care about playing for competent general managers who know the difference between their ass and a hole in the ground.
Yeah, it's like,
go on.
No one's worried about living in MJ's shadow. Like they're all like he's been gone forever.
And if they are, like you don't want him on your team.
Yeah. He's been gone for 20 years.
Yeah, it's the same with every team. Like LeBron's not worried about living in Kobe's shadow, or no one's worried about living in so and so shadow in the Celtics. It's like, you can't. They're not afraid of that. They're trying to make their own name. Like
they just didn't want to come to the Bulls. Like they just didn't want to go to that organization. Speaking of Michael Jordan, though, The Last Dance, the first 2 episodes will be dropping Sunday. I think that I thought I had seen that they were going to be dropping on Netflix like right after they are on ESPN or whatever. You looking forward to that? I don't know.
Yeah,
I think
of course.
It's going to drop at like 5 a.m. for you, man.
Yeah. So the thing is, that's another thing. Like everyone in the entire world, all my friends, all my family, everyone is going to be watching it live, and like. I want to be in on that live tweeting and seeing what everyone's talking about. Like that makes it so fun. But like, I will probably just download it or pirate it like the next day. That's been kind of the motive. Like even if it's on Netflix, like I'll watch it that way. But like the moment I get up that day, it's gonna be like, all right, let's get it as soon as possible. That's the thing that sucks. Like when Game of Thrones was the big ordeal a couple years ago, and like the episode would drop on Sunday night for you guys, and we would go to school on Monday and be like, all right, stay off the internet the entire day, or we're going to Connor's house, or we're going to KJ's house at 9:00 on Monday, and we'll watch the episode. So it might have to be kind of like that for me for The Last Dance, but hell yeah, I'm so pumped they're releasing it early.
And I think I'm also excited because they're releasing a version where like they're swearing in one and swearing in another.
They say ESPN will air like the version where they can cuss and stuff, and then ESPN2 will have the version where there's no cussing.
Yeah, I just saw that.
That was where
you're a fool if you're turning into ESPN2.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they had a clip on Good Morning America. That's also what I'm excited about, is because with all this, it's pushing Michael Jordan to do a little bit more media through like the promotion of it all. And he was like on Good Morning America, and they were talking about one of the clips where they were saying something about, there was like end of one of the seasons, the Bulls had kind of clinched everything, and they gave him like they said there's a 10% chance you could have like a season ending or career ending injury, and there's a 90% like you could keep going, but like he's like, oh, so you're telling me there's a 90% chance I'm good, right? And he's like, no, but I'm telling you there's a 10% chance you can. And he's like, whatever, this and that. And he's like, well, what if I told you you had a headache and I gave you 10 pills and 9 of them would cure you and 1 of them would kill you? And he goes, well, how bad's my fucking headache? And it was one of those things like that. Like they actually had to bleep that out. I'm like, there's gonna be so many cuss words because they got all these NBA players, all these old NBA guys and stuff like that. And it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited to just see the stuff like that we've never seen. No matter like the footage or the Michael Jordan to the Max or the different documentaries, the books. It's just like, dude, we're finally gonna get a look into being like I saw yesterday on Twitter, people were saying like Michael was like being like, people are gonna watch this and think I'm a horrible person. It's like, well, if people think that, like, then those people have not ever followed you or the Bulls for the past like 3 decades. Like,
or
like,
any professional
yeah,
sport.
or like we know like you're the GOAT for a reason, and you got that killer mentality. Like I just can't wait to see him just eat people alive.
And it's
Absolutely. Now,
22
KJ,
years old.
if my math is right, you moved there in 2017-ish. So you saw the
Yeah.
Cubs win a World Series, then headed for South Korea, right?
Yeah, so saw the Cubbies win in 2016 in October, and then turned around in February of 2017 and shipped over.
So you think David Ross is the right guy for the Cubs now?
I do and I don't. Like when it happened, I was like, man, this is gonna be like I think like some people were like, he's gonna be too comfortable. Like how is he gonna manage this ball club when he's he's Grandpa Ross. Like he's their best friend. Like is he gonna be able to manage a team? But I mean, it is what it is. Like we had our time with Madden, and like obviously best time ever. But if I trust the organization, and I trust what they do with Grandpa Rossi. So I mean, I think so. Yeah, I think it'll be fine. I mean, what are your guys' takes on it?
I was not a fan of it. I was not a fan of it, but now I've seen him through spring training and kind of stuff leading up to it. I'm excited about it. I think we made the right move. And if we would, the other part would have been if we would have hired the other guy, which was the Astros bench coach, we would have been all swept up in that bullshit, and it would have just been awful. So I'm happy that we didn't get ourselves involved in any stuff like that. And I do think I was kind of on the same wave of maybe he was too comfortable, but I also think it's going to be able to get through to the players better. Maybe.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, I think there'll be the good like level-headedness of like, yo, we're friends, we won a World Series together, and also like, hey, I've been in this game longer than you. Like, I'm the manager, like I'm the captain. This is how things are going to happen. And I would hope that he can manage those relationships in like the business aspect of like, this is what we're supposed to be doing day in and day out. So like, I would think so. Like it's going to be a typical Cubs fan. We all fall into the pool of, if we lose 7 games straight, we're going to be blaming so-and-so, or we're going to be doing this. Like, I mean, it's the same with all Chicago sports, and all like, all sports fans go through it depending on their team. But yeah, I mean, we won't really know, I guess, until things kick off. So hoping for the best.
And if we do kick off, for crying out loud, who knows when that's going to happen around here?
Well,
they said we might not get fans till like the fall.
It's crazy. I had just talked to my sister when I went to sleep last night. She lives in Wisconsin, and she said they just got ordered by their state. They have to stay inside till May 26th now.
Yeah. My grandparents have a cabin in St. Germain, Wisconsin, and that county sent out a notice like right when everything kind of started happening. It said if you enter the county, you have to quarantine for 14 days before you leave your house.
And so they still
taking that. Yeah, they still got a few cases up there too, but they are. I mean, they said they're adding on. I don't know if Illinois is going to or not. It's kind of waiting over the next few days to see. I know New York added on till like May 15th today.
New York's in a really bad spot, though.
I would think like if there's one state, obviously we know by just looking at numbers, like if you're in New York, you got to be staying indoors.
Was it Virginia that or someone that went all the way until June? Right away, they went right to June.
Yeah. Well, New York's having a problem. They're like contemplating the possibilities of having to like build mass graves. So they're in a lot worse situations than a lot of places. But
yeah, it's just one of those things. If you look at it, like it's just so many people in one area, like in New York. Like, and it's just it was nasty before this all happened. Like it's just. Ugh.
Yeah, I think
I gotta ask him this, KJ. Before we wrap things up, I've got to know, what do you miss most about the Illinois Valley? Is there a special food place? Is there a bar? Is there something specific that you miss the most? Obviously, other than family and friends and all that good stuff, is there a specific place that you think about it all the time?
I don't know if it's a necessarily specific place, but food-wise, it's definitely pizza, like without a doubt. And
by Angie?
By Angie's, yes. So I got myself by Angie's before I came back. That for sure. But just like really just any kind of pizza that is like I'm not even a deep dish guy. So like I'm just talking like normal like Pequod's or Peace Pizza or like even just some normal thin crust like Giordano's, just something like that.
Yeah.
That is like,
No
I mean, the
pizza in
pizza
South
here,
Korea?
there is, but man, it's different. It's just is not the
Yeah.
same. There's a few places that can hold their own, but like, it's not the same as, drinking beers with your buddies and like getting a good pizza and watching some sports. So that's probably like the main thing. And then outside of that, it's just like, yeah, I mean, I haven't seen some of my friends in like, it feels like, 2 years or like a year and a half.
Yeah.
I've missed weddings and things like that. So, just seeing the people you grew up with and that you're, really tight with, it's just like, you just got to sacrifice some of those things. So that's
No,
definitely
for
the big
sure.
thing that I miss that I wish I could, I could get.
No, definitely.
Well, we would like to thank you so much, KJ, for coming on the podcast. It's at KJS_22.
Deuce. Yes.
There we go. Great mind right there. That's how I keep that right up there. Thank you for coming on, kind of explaining all this craziness that's going on. You've been in 2 different areas while this is going on, and we've also found out you are the coronavirus good luck charm in a way.
I am. So
you warded away.
If anyone wants me to reach out and fly across the world and pay me to do it, like, let's go, baby.
But you know what? We're
contract.
gonna hopefully we can get this podcast viral and we can maybe get you like a contract with like certain areas, certain countries, and they'll pay you to come there, and then you'll get there, live there for about a week or 2, and everything's
They'll be totally around like the Pope, just waving at people, getting on another plane, waving at more people.
Like, oh, there he is. There's KJ Schultz, the COVID man. Like, let's go.
Like they rejoice when you get there. Like, we're safe. We're safe.
Yeah.
We're good. We're good to go. Well, again, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, guys, I appreciate it. This was great.
Stay safe.
Thanks, man, guys. Appreciate it. Have a good time. Stay safe, stay indoors, and hopefully we can catch up soon.
Yeah, absolutely.